how to make him think about you all the time. In this video, we're going to go into 5 secrets, 5 keys to make him think about you so that he is coming closer to you, he is prioritizing you, he is falling in love with you, rather than him pulling away, losing interest, rejecting you, or potentially choosing another woman. So if you're excited to learn that, comment below with I'm ready. If you're done with guys ghosting, losing interest, flaking, and you're ready to have a long-term loving commitment, lasting relationship, maybe even getting married, let's do that. So comment I'm ready below. Hi, I'm Brody Boyd, and for the last 13 years, I've been helping single men to attract the right woman for them. So I have a unique perspective into what makes the male brain tick, and that's what we're going to be going into more in this video, to magnetize your man. So go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, share this video with a girlfriend, and subscribe and hit the bell for more future videos like this as well. If you like anything in the background, this painting, the lights, my shirt, whatever, the color, please give it a like. We really appreciate it. And let's go ahead and also start diving in. But before we do that, listen also closely in this video for a special secret bonus on how to make him feel deeply understood by you. So now, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into how to make him think about you. So, secret number 5 to make him think about you constantly is to share your deepest desires and longings with him. So, what this means is when you're with a man, whether it's just a date, you're hanging out, you've been together for a while, or you're newly, freshly dating, I highly recommend sharing and being vulnerable with your desires. Oftentimes, we think that our desires are just our own, that it's unique to us. There's an old saying that the more private something is, the more public something is, meaning the things that we think are really special and vulnerable about us, most likely 80%, 90% of the population has some form of that desire or fear or insecurity as well. So when you share those vulnerabilities, when you share those things you think are unique, you will often be surprised to find that the man you share this with will have similar desires, will have similar longings. And this can be one of the greatest things to bond you together, to see, wow, we both have this shared vision. We both want to travel the world. We both want to have a family. We both just want a partnership, somebody to share our life with and, watch movies together and go out to eat together and support each other when we're not feeling well. Those kind of things. So share what it is for you, those deepest longings and desires. And there's also a feminine principle within here, which is when you share your longings, that's going to activate the male heroic instinct to want to help fulfill your longings. A man can't fulfill your longings if he's not aware of those longings. So by sharing those, he can start to think of, wow, how can I help her have that? Like, how can I give her that love that she's longing for? And oftentimes you don't even need to say it. If you start by just feeling that longing, even when you're with him, and opening yourself up to that, just that vulnerability of sort of not quite the damsel in distress, but it's a similar energy. It's like, here I am, I'm vulnerable, I'm a woman, who's going to be my hero? Who's going to be my hero? Who's going to help fulfill those deeper desires and longings? So very powerful masculine feminine polarity principle within there as well. So one example of this is when I was dating my wife Antia. In the beginning, she would share with me her dreams and desires of sharing her message with the world. She had been leading soulmate support groups with single women. I had been helping single men. And when she shared with me that she wanted to take that to the world, she wanted to help more women, she wanted to create more love in the world, I really connected with that because that was part of my vision as well. And I even told her the night that we met, I said, we have a huge responsibility to humanity. And what I meant by that was I can feel that night that we were going to do something big together. And of course, we ended up creating this business together, helping thousands of women all over the world to attract their man to get into happy marriages and relationships. So that was a vision I felt that night because she shared her desire with me and I was able to connect with that. So it's very powerful. So powerful secret number 4 is to create fond memories together. So what this means is people don't tend to fall in love when they're with you. They tend to fall in love when they're away from you, thinking about you. So when you create fond memories with your guy, he's going to be more likely to think about those memories when he's away from you and remember, oh, that was so fun last weekend hanging out with Shelly or Julie. It was so great hanging out with you because we were having so much fun and we were laughing, and that was so crazy when that thing happened where the wall fell down at the side of the door fell down in that restaurant that was out of repair, or something crazy that might have happened. Sometimes you can't control what memories are being formed, but I believe if you have the intention going into a date or when you're next hanging out with your guy, how can you make this a memorable experience? How can you make this a night he will not forget? How can you make this a day he will not forget? And it could be as simple as you just showing up as your best self, you having fun. We'll talk about that in a bit. You being fun to be with, you being your weird, unique, joyful self. And he gets to remember that, how much fun that was just to be joking with you, just to be having interesting conversations, just to be, and maybe you can make suggestions. You could say, hey, let's go check out that new restaurant, that funky place. Or, hey, what do you think it'd be fun to go see the sunset right now? If you guys are at the beach, or maybe there's a nice place you can see it from. Something like that. You can make these little suggestions. Of course, let him take the initiative, let him guide that and make the final decision. So you're like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. But you can throw out those ideas. You can throw out those suggestions, things that you think will make it a more memorable experience. Again, talking about you're sharing your longings and desires, you can just share something too. And you say, hey, I've always wanted, what's really cool? I've always wanted to see the top of that building. If you're in an area that's has a tall hotel or something, and that you can go up, there's a rooftop restaurant or something, or I've always wanted to go paddle boarding on the lake near your area, whatever that is for you, something will be a memorable experience. Plant that idea, plant that seed in his mind by sharing your desire sometime, and then let him maybe take that initiative to actually execute that and create those fond memories that he looks back on. So this reminds me of a story when I was dating Antia again. We were one night I had invited her I had a motorbike on Oahu in Hawaii where we met. And I had said, hey, let's go check out this, this beach. And I forget what the name was this beach, but it was on the north side of the island. And we'd taken kind of a day trip. We went up there. And while we were up there, she said, hey, maybe we could, I said, well, we can head back. And she said, well, maybe we could we're so far north, maybe we could just go all the way around at this point. She said, it's not a far drive. And I said, okay, yeah, let's do that. So this was already like 9 p.m. and we started going on my motorbike, her on the back, me driving, and it got pretty dark. And it turns out we were both not so familiar with the island because we hadn't been there that long on the island. And it turns out it was a lot longer journey than I had anticipated, or had she anticipated. And it actually got pretty scary. So we ended up basically in the middle of the night driving all the way around the island over the course of a day, all the way around and at night. And it was pretty scary. And I was concerned we might, hit an animal or see something in the road I went see and we'd crash. Luckily we didn't. But the funny thing was, after that, it was a funny memory for us to laugh about. And we still do to this day to laugh about that time we drove all the way around the island at night. And it was just crazy. It was a kind of ridiculous adventure we didn't anticipate. So that's a good example of things. Sometimes you can't anticipate it, but if you can be conscious about it, it can be very powerful. Now, if you're liking these tips, if you haven't yet, I highly recommend joining our free Magnetize Your Man Dating and Relationship Support Facebook group. So go to mymfbgroup.com to get there. There should be a link in the description as well, or you can go to Facebook and just type in Magnetize Your Man. You should be able to join there. We have over 5,000 women, powerful conversations, getting coaching support and accountability. Highly recommend joining that amazing free group as well. So that leads us to powerful secret number 3, which is to listen deeply to him. Now, oftentimes people want to feel understood. It's not oftentimes, it's a fact. People want to feel understood. Stephen Covey said, seek first to understand before seeking to be understood. And there's so much power in that. When you can listen to your guy and ask deep questions about maybe his longings and desires, his goals, his life, his family, his history, you can learn a lot. And ideally, you're also getting to see a piece of his heart and a piece of his soul. And he's getting to know that you're seeing a piece of his soul and piece of his heart. And if it's vulnerable and you listen to that and he still feels accepted by you, that can be a really powerful thing that can make him, for one, start to fall in love, or number two, it can make him think about you because he'll be remembering that connection, that acceptance, that seeing of him, that you are seeing him, you know one another. Now, of course, you don't want him to be doing all the talking. So there's a powerful rule that I recommend, which is you should be doing about, when you're first meeting a guy, of course, you should be doing about 70, 60, 70, no, he should be doing about 60, 70, or 80% of the talking, roughly. And then you should be doing the other 20, 30, or 40%. Now, this is an example of this is when I was dating and I was trying to get good at meeting women, and because I had grown up in a household where I was kind of cut off from socializing, so I didn't really have a lot of experience, and that's what got me on this path to helping men. I would go out and for the beginning stages of my dating journey, I was reading all these books on pickup artist techniques, and a lot of it was like telling fun stories, and some of them go to extremes like doing magic tricks or what they call routines, which even then I'm like, this is kind of stupid, this is kind of weird. But then what I learned later on, so it wasn't really working for me, obviously, and then what I learned later on was the power of asking questions. And that's when my results really started taking off, when I was having much better connections with women, is when I started following that rule where I would listen 60, 70, 80% of the time, sometimes 90% of the time, and then ask great questions and listen to the person I was speaking to and being empathetic and going, wow, oh, interesting, oh, cool, oh, when did that happen? And then just letting them talk. Or you can even say, tell me more. And it was really powerful. So that's when I started having great connections. I believe this isn't mutually exclusive to men or women. I think men and women or women can do this technique. And so I highly recommend trying that with guys and with your man as well, and letting him feel that deep empathy and connection to you through that deep listening and powerful question asking. So now let's get to powerful secret number 2, which is be feminine, playful, and fun. Now, the only thing that really creates long-term chemistry, attraction, passion is masculine-feminine polarity. The difference in energies between a masculine focused energy and a feminine flowing receptive energy. Just like in a dance, there can only be one leader and one follow at any time. Now, this, of course, will build attraction, but it'll also make him think about you because he'll remember that connection, that energetic, masculine, feminine, magnetic pole between the two of you. So how you do this is through embracing your femininity, the flowing little girl energy, playful, curious, joyful, receptive, emotional, letting your emotions flow and letting go of that direction-focused, check things off the box kind of masculine energy, initiative, leadership, which you might have in your career, but you need to switch that off for your romantic life and when you're connecting with your guy. And that'll create that chemistry, that'll create that connection, and it'll make him think about you a lot and start to really fall in love and desire you as well. So this one example of this is when I was dating Antia. She used to always do like spontaneous like dances, which really it made me think of her for sure, and it also activated my desire for her because she would just out of nowhere start doing what she called the happy hippo dance, which she go or something like that. And it was so charming because it's spontaneous. That's the feminine, right? That's like that little girl that just has a spontaneous outburst of joy or starts dancing, or sometimes there was often a reason for it, but it was that playfulness, and maybe she was singing, maybe she was making silly noises. So it's also about embracing that unique part inside of you that is that childlike energy that can be very attractive and compelling to a man. Now, if you'd like to learn how to master feminine energy more and the connection, the ability to trigger a man's desire, I'd highly recommend taking our free Magnetize Your Man quiz and get your custom gifts and resources to attract your man for a long-term commitment. Highly recommend taking that. If you haven't already, you can get that by clicking the link below in the description or go to mymquiz.com. Get those custom resources for you to attract your man right away. Again, MYM quiz for our free quiz. I highly recommend if you haven't got it yet. So that leads us to powerful secret number 1, which is let him initiate. Let him initiate. So if you want a man to think about you, again, you create that masculine feminine polarity by letting him initiate. But also, when you're not the one initiating, when you're not the one constantly reaching out to him first, texting him, calling him, asking him out, planning out dates, physically initiating, when you're not doing those things, he has to do those things. Someone, again, like in a dance, only one person can take the masculine role and one person can take the feminine role at any time. But so when you refuse to take the masculine role, which I have a whole nother video you should check out on that, why you should never chase a man, which is very popular. He has to. Somebody has to step into that role, or otherwise nothing will happen. And it's kind of a standard you set for yourself that you're not going to take that role. Now, what it does also is it makes him think about you, because now he has to think about how he's going to next initiate. What is he going to text you? What is he going to invite you out to? What message is he going to send? When is he going to make the move? When is he going to reach in to kiss you? You know, things like that. He has to start thinking about that, and it'll activate his brain, and he has to start planning ahead. He might have some anxiety, which is good. You want him to have a little anxiety, wondering, am I going to do the right thing? Is she going to reject me? That's, again, men's deepest fear is the fear of rejection, but it's healthy to have him wondering if he could be rejected, because that means he cares. That means he has an investment into the outcome of some kind. That he wants a connection with you. He was somewhat afraid of losing you or screwing it up. So by letting him take that initiative, you're activating his brain to start thinking in that way. Now, a good example of this is when me and Antia were dating in Hawaii for the first 3 months we were dating. I got to plan a lot of little adventures for us, such as the one I told you about, where we went on our scooter to the North Shore and then end up going around on my motorbike. And so that was part of it, but also getting to plan out other little adventures that we would do, going to the beach, or we would sneak into hot tubs at the luxury hotels, things like that, and go to the beach at night, go on walks at the beach. So those were things I got to plan out, which was fun to think of what do I want to do, and then I'm going to take her on the journey. And I couldn't do that if she was the one that was planning out all those things. So I think that was a big reason why we ended up having such a successful connection and relationship, for sure. Now, I would love to hear from you as well. What things have you done and noticed that have made men reach out to you and chase you in the past? So I'd love to hear you comment below what things you've done that you notice a man then started chasing you more after you did it. Share the wealth, share with other women. We'd love to hear other successes you've done in these applying these kind of techniques, and what worked and what didn't. Let's help each other with that. So now I have a final bonus for you, which is actually secret number 6. Secret of respecting and valuing yourself. Now, if you want a man to think about you constantly, you also have to be somebody worth thinking about. You have to be respecting yourself, valuing yourself, and treating yourself like a queen, meaning you have standards, meaning you set boundaries, things you're not okay with, meaning you're not initiating, you're not chasing, you're not getting desperate, meaning you're keeping yourself in check in that sense and treating yourself well, getting things handled in your own life that are not handled. Maybe it's setting boundaries with friends or family that are taking advantage of you. All of those things link to you respecting yourself. T. Harv Eker has a famous saying, which is, how you do one thing is how you do anything. So if you're letting other people walk around on you at work and you're not speaking up, you're probably going to also do the same in your romantic relationships. If you're also letting your kids, if you have kids, walk all over you and treat you with disrespect, you're probably going to let your man do that to you as well. And you're going to attract more people into your life that will do that, because that's how you're viewing yourself. That's how you're treating yourself. So how do you start to fix this? You start to tell yourself positive affirmations such as, I'm a queen, I'm awesome, I'm the prize, men love me, men chase me. People value me. So that's going to be part of it, and actually feeling those affirmations when you tell yourself them. Also taking baby steps and just starting to set small boundaries with people in your environment. Maybe you have a roommate, maybe you have a neighbor that's taking advantage of you in some way. You have to start setting those boundaries in small ways so you can start to get better in bigger ways. And also treating yourself well and doing things for yourself to take care of areas you might be neglecting yourself. That's going to be key, getting support in the right areas. Now, a good example of this is when I met Antia, we were dating for a while, and I wasn't really giving her a whole lot of my emotional commitment. So I had been coming from an avoidant attachment style. So I was kind of breadcrumbing her in some ways. Like, we would hang out, we would have a good time, but then I wouldn't really talk about the future or tell her how I was feeling or things like that. So she, of course, wasn't going to wait around. I mean, she was respecting herself, so she kept living her life, and she was even dating other guys because we weren't exclusive yet. And so that was showing that she was valuing herself, that she wasn't just going to let herself be strung along by me if I wasn't emotionally opening up. And she even gave me the opportunities a couple times to talk more about my feelings and what my intentions were or my goals were with dating. And I didn't really give her a whole lot. So she started moving on. And then later I started feeling like, wow, actually, I really do want her in my life. I don't want to lose her, especially when I started realizing that she was kind of doing her own thing and moving on in some ways. And I said, that's when I started saying, I'm starting to have feelings of love for you. And shortly after that, we became exclusive. So that's the power of respecting and valuing yourself and holding your standards in a situation with the guy. So if you got any value out of this video, please give it a like. Subscribe for more powerful videos like this. Make sure you hit the bell as well to get notifications. And also share this video with a girlfriend. Share the wealth. Let's help more women who need these perspectives, women in your life who need these secrets, these points to make men respect them more and fall in love. Maybe they have a guy who's just not giving them what they need. Share the wealth and let's bring more happy relationships into the world, including for yourself. And next up, I highly recommend watching my next video, which is 5 real reasons why men respond to distance in love, sort of like we talked about with Antia, why that not really pulling away, but doing your own thing can actually bring the man closer to you quicker. So I highly recommend checking that video and getting the techniques in that as well. So much love. Take care. Hope you like this, and we'll talk to you again in the next powerful training video soon. Bye-bye.